Today I'm going to show you how to program some drums and create a little melody all within the Cardinal modular synth, which is a free modular. I'm running this through Reason, but it has VST capabilities, so you could run it through any DAW of your choice that has VST. If your DAW doesn't have VSTs, I believe that there is a standalone version for this. You can also do something similar within VCV Rack as well. So, because this is actually quite similar, this is just a free VST. That's why I'm using it. So by the end, you'll feel comfortable how to use a clock sequencer, program drums, and run it all within a self-containing patch. So let's go ahead and get started. It sounds like this. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So now this might seem a bit like overwhelming, which I get. Like, it can be really frustrating trying to learn this, and this is why I'm creating this tutorial, is because I had a hard time learning this, and I went through so many different tutorials, and they all went too fast, or they all did a weird kind of route on doing things. They didn't explain things fully. So this is being made with simplicity in mind. So hopefully you will be able to learn from this. So let's go ahead and get started. So to clear this, we're just going to go File, New, and I do not want to save. So cancel. Wait, well, fine. New. Okay. Yes. All right. So it starts out like this. Just a basic little patch, which isn't very fun. So to clear this, we're going to left click on the mouse and highlight all this. So you can either hit backspace on the keyboard, or you can right click and go to delete. So to be able to get to where all the modules are, you right click on your mouse, and here are all the things. And if you scroll down, you can see that there is just absolutely just tons of them. There's probably like 1,000 of them. So to be able to narrow the search, we can select a tag. So if you click on this, it goes like arpeggiator, clock generators, delays, effects. This is where your oscillator is going to be. This is where all the modules are located within here. You can also narrow the search by doing a brand as well. So if you know what brand you're looking for, you can select the brand. Or you can just go right here, which is I recommend using, don't do the brand, but do the tag. And you have a search right here. So if you type in anything that you are looking for, such as an audio, like an audio out, because that's the first thing we need. So on here, click AUDIO, and you can see right here, the first thing is a Cardinal host audio, and this is what we're going to plug our main outs to. This is what's pretty much going out to our speakers. So let's select this. All you gotta do is click on it, and it shows up right here in the rack. So let's just move this all the way over here, and we are going to do a voltage control amplifier next. We're actually going to do two of them. So where it says for the search, type in VCA, and there's tons of stuff that always pop up, but you can see this little red one right here I recommend using. It's very simple. Just click on it, and we're actually going to do two. So you can right click and go the way that we just did, or you can go up to here and you can right click and then go to duplicate. So now we have two. So next we need a mixer. So right click, go here and type in mixer. And we're going to use this one right here, this big one. It's like an 8-channel mixer. So if you highlight over it, it says Mixer 8CHAS. So just click on it. So there it is. Okay, so next I am going to load up the drum oscillators. So right click, and all you have to do is type in drum, and here is all the stuff. Like right here is a snare. It says snare in. So let's click on it. So this is going to be our snare. Let's add hi-hat, one right here. So click on this. So there's our snare hi-hat. We're going to do a 808 as well. So there's a BD9, bass drum 9, which is pretty good for that. So click on that. And then last, we are going to do a kick all. This is where our kick is going to generate from. So now that we have this, so this is an extra step that I'm going to do, but you don't need to do it. I'm only doing this for the sake of the tutorial, because if I don't do this, the sound will always be on. And with this method, I could just push a key down and that will trigger the sound to come in. So I'm actually going to right click and I'm going to type in MIDI. And there is a thing right here, host MIDI, Cardinal host MIDI. So here is that. So basically, I'm going to take this gate from here and put it into the CV. And then I'm going to take this out. That's going to go out to the left, and I'm going to take this left to the in of the VCA. This should give us sound, but nothing will generate right now because we don't have anything. So we need something to sequence all this. We need something to control this. So we're going to start out with a clock. So remember, if you're not using a MIDI controller, just skip that last step that I did with this. You don't really have to worry about it. All you would have to do is go to the mixer and just go straight into right here. If you want stereo, go from left and then right, and then you'll have all your sound once you start plugging stuff in. So I'm going this and then out. Okay, so we need a clock and a sequencer. So I'm going to right click, and then we can go to the tags and go to clock generator. Oh wait, see, so notice how there's some stuff that's gray? That's because we have MIDI still typed in. So let's backspace out of there and then go back into the tag. See, now they're all white. So go to clock generator, and we're going to use this one right here, impromptu clock, chainable master clock. So click on this, and then this is basically going to control our BPM, the tempo of our sequencer. So right click, and we're going to add a sequencer. So go back to here, go to all tags, and type in SEQ sequencer. Which one do I want? Okay, gated sequencer 64. All right. So now that we have this, this is going to control. This is just like programming drums. So if you're in your DAW and you put in like a sampler for like all your drums or something, or this could be even for no, this is actually a good example would be for your drums. So if you load up a synthesizer that can play your drums, or it's usually like a sampler or something that plays audio samples whenever you do drums, if you're not designing them yourself and you just want to use wave samples. So this is going to be just like, this is a 16-step sequencer. See, there's 4, 8, 12, 16 steps to this. So each step, it's going to trigger a note, and each one of these are going to be plugged into the kick, snare, hi-hat, and bass drum in the 808. So let's just start from the beginning. We need to know what BPM the sequencer is be going at. It would be just like setting your DAW to like 120 BPM. This is exactly what it's going to be doing. So you take clock 1 right here, and we go into the clock input right there. So notice we have lights, and they're going through all the steps, but they're going kind of slow right now. That's because this clock right here, we can go right here, the ratio, this is only times 1. If we turn it up, notice it'll start going faster. See how fast it's going? We're going to put this to about 3. Put this to 3, not about 3, it's at 3. And we're going to take this to 112. So this is the speed that I want my drum sequence to be going at. So right here we have 4 gate outputs. This first gate controls this. So whatever I plug into right here, this gate is going to be triggering every single time I push one of these. So we're going to use the first one, and it's going to be into our kick. So if we go up here, here's our kick. We want to put this into the trigger right here, and then the output is going to go into channel 1 of our mixer. I want gate output 2 to be a snare. So we're going into our snare right here. Let's go to the gate, because this is just triggering it. The gate is a trigger. It just triggers the whatever you put on here. So we go out to channel 2 of our mixer. Gate 3 is going to go hi-hats. So here's our hi-hats. Put it into the gate and then out to here. Next, we're going to do the 808 going into the gate of the 808 and out into channel 4. So now, if I start programming this, every time I click a button on here, the kick will happen. Every time I click something here, the snare, hi-hat, 808. So let's just start by highlighting all the hi-hats. See how we're getting sound? So this is just on my end. Every time I hold down a key on my MIDI keyboard, it triggers the sound. So if you don't have this, this should be sounding every single time. So we can actually change the type of hi-hat by right here where it says select. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go through the different sounds. This sounds good. So you can see right here, this purple cable. See how it's blinking? It's kind of hard to see, but every time it's blinking, it's because of this is triggering it. So we're just going to turn this down for now. All right, that sounds good. So next, we can do our snare. So it's going to land on the 2 and the 4. So here is the 2, and here is the 4. We can turn it down a bit. And you can look right here, every single time that snare hits, this is going to light up. Now let's do our kick. Do something like this. But it's pretty weak right now, so we have to do a little bit of sound design. So this right here, this is going to shape the wave. Right now, this is just at a sine. That's why it sounds so weak. Now, the more that you bring it to a square wave, the more distorted it's going to sound. So usually, if you take a sine wave and you start distorting it, it cuts off the round humps on it, the tip of the waves, and that gives it that distorted sound. We can actually run things through a scope if that's something that you want to do. So if we right click and just hit scope, there's one right here. So we could run this out into the scope in, and then go to out into our thing. And you can do this for anything, for any of these. If you want to see what's going on, just plug it into the scope. and we can slow it down. Or we can speed it up. So let's start distorting this. This is going to bring the decay time up. Right now it's just really, really small, but we can make it a longer note by bringing this up. We can also tune it down. I think that sounds okay for now. Now let's do the 808. So let's just do something like this. Loud. Let's turn this down real quick. We can also select the type that we want. We can run it through a distortion too. I think that'll sound a bit better. So let's right click and we can go to, let's actually remember, delete the scope that we typed in here. Go to effects. Now we can type in DIST for distortion. And we could use something like right here. It says distortion surge XT. So click on that. And here it is. And to run this, all we do is, well, it depends on what signal we want to look at. If we want to see it through the scope, of course it has to be before it goes into the scope. So we can go in. So right here, if we go up, this is going from the kick out. So instead of going to the scope first, we're going to run it through the distortion. So to put it into the left input. Now take the left output and bring it into the end of the scope. Now we can see this. So it's right here on the initial patch, and if you hit over, it'll go to different settings. We wanted to do the 808. That doesn't sound bad, but let's actually do it the right way that we wanted to, and run. So we're plugging this back in. No, let's just run this to right here. Let's just unplug the scope, and put this back into our first channel like we originally had it. Now the 808 is going to run through the distortion. Here it is. Now the out is going to go into here. Now we can choose which one we want, which preset we want. Notice right here, see how you can see the different, how it affects the wave. Full range doesn't sound bad. That sounds pretty good. Let's turn the volume down a bit though. Okay, so we got a nice little hip hop beat going on right now. Another thing that we could do is run, the snare's a little dry. So we can run it through a reverb. So let's right click, go to effects. Since we're in effects, all we have to do is just type in reverb. And there's a pretty good one right here called the Plateau Valley. So click on this. And since the snare right here, the out is going straight into our mixer, we need to run it through the plateau first. So here is the left input, just put it into here, and we'll take the left out and put it into our mixer. Now this might sound a bit intense because the settings are pretty high, so listen. We can turn the wetness down first, but it's still pretty big. Let's take the decay, bring it down as well. Sounds a little bit better. Actually, it sounds a lot better, but it's still, the size is too big, so we can take the size down a bit, and that will really tame it. If we wanted to run stereo, we can also put like a panned LFO into our hi-hat if we wanted to. If we wanted to run everything in stereo, but since we're doing mono, that wouldn't work. That would just be another possibility that you could do. There's a bunch of different stuff we could do, but right now we're just going to keep it nice and simple. So now we're going to add our melody to this, because since our beat is sounding pretty good, it's time to add the melody. So I'm going to actually space this out a bit so we can add some stuff into here. Okay, so first let's add an oscillator. So right click, and then we'll go all, and then OSC, oscillator. So there's a thing right here that says seesaw. So click on this. And this is a pretty good one because it gives you tons of different options on the type of waveform that comes out. Let's actually move this back over here. And we also need an envelope. So right click, and we can just actually backspace out of there, do this again, and go to envelope generator. Here we can grab something such as right here, just ADSR. Okay, so we have this, but now we also need a sequencer for this, because we need to be able to sequence our notes that we want. So to do this, let's right click and then type, go to all tags, and then go to sequencer, SEQ. And we're going to use which one do I want? There's tons of stuff here. I want this one. Okay. It says Note SEQ JW modules. Okay. Here is our sequencer. Now, since we want this to be on the same tempo and the same pattern as our drums are, we want to run the same clock on there, so it's the same BPM. So you can actually run multiple wires out of outputs. If you right click and you go to new cable, you can choose whatever color you want, but it doesn't really matter. Just choose a cable, and then now you have access to this cable. So go over here, and we are going to put it into the clock right here. So notice how it starts going, but right off the bat, it's not going to be lined up with this sequencer. So if we go over here a bit, notice how it's not on the same thing. So to reset it, you can just click this reset. So you notice every time we hit reset, it goes to the beginning. So I think now, and just try to time it correctly. Let's just start adding some stuff to this. So to be able to get some sound out of this, we need to plug in from the output. We're going to go into the octave of our oscillator right here. And then we also need to take the gate of here and we're going to put it into the gate of our envelope. And this is going to be able to shape the sound of this oscillator. So the out needs to trigger this, and then from the out, this is going to go into the in of here. Actually, the out goes to the CV in here, and this should just plug straight into here. So let's just put in some little notes right now, see if that does anything. Okay, cool, we got some sound. But right now, this isn't, I don't really like this sound right here. So to be able to change the sound, we can take this and we can just start moving it to different stuff. So I kind of like this. Sounds okay, but we can actually take this. This is going to move up semitones, so we can bring it up 12 semitones, which is an octave. And we could take the timbre and bring it down. But I want the attack to go down. I want the sound to trigger right away. And I don't want any sustain. I want it kind of like a pluck. So if you take the attack and the sustain down, notice how it changed the sound? It's, you know, just got to play around with the right melody and stuff. This isn't that great of one, but I feel I don't want to take too much time doing it. We can also run this through any sort of effect that we want. So if we want to run this through like a filter or something, we can go ahead and do that. So instead of just going out from the oscillator into our VCA, we need to run this through a, it doesn't really matter. We can take this, go to, oh yeah, we have to exit out of this, all tags, and then go to effects. So we can choose whatever effect we want. Actually, let's just type in, go to all tags and type in filter. Okay, so we can do something like, I mean, why not use this one? Okay, right here, VCF, voltage control filter, and it's Surge XT. Click on that, and we're going to go from the out of our oscillator into here because we want this to filter before it comes out of our speakers. So plug this into the left input, left output goes into the in of the VCA. Now we should have some sound. Actually, I think the frequency's down too much, so let's turn this up. And it's great because you can actually see the what it's doing. So the res creates extra frequencies right where the cutoff is. So this is the cutoff right here. And watch when I take the res up. See what it does? It just adds that little small band of frequencies and it brings it up.